Hello everybody and welcome back to the And More Bus Videos YouTube channel. I'm And More Bus Videos, otherwise known as And More Central, depending on what day of the week and what video you're watching. And welcome to Evesham Bus Station, or just outside of Evesham Bus Station in Yorkshire Counties 3.0, where today it shouldn't be a surprise at all what vehicle we are driving. We're driving the E200 MMC, the B Network E200 MMC. It shouldn't be a surprise, although if it is, I will explain very shortly as to why we've got this. But we are taking it on the 24 service. So the 24 service, I don't know why my indicator's on. 24 service runs from here, that's, not Evesham, it's Evesham. Runs from Evesham Bus Station Stand 2 and will take us all the way to Waysworth Stand E. The route is just over half an hour in length, so it should be enough time to have a little drive of this lovely vehicle, and the original vehicle made by V3D, this being an enhancement pack that includes the B Network interior and sort of the idea that you can change the interior and bits like that. Love the motor, and it'll give us enough time to drive this bus. Now, we have driven it recently, but the reason we're driving it again today is because although we discussed it in the last video I drove this bus, that the B Network Tranche 2 was beginning, today is the day that Tranche 2 has gone live, with depots across the North Manchester and North East Manchester being affected and having their operators change. I need to put 24... I don't even know which stand it is. Oh, it's stand E. Okay, well that's wrong then. Stand E. Here we go. That should hopefully change. I mean, it's... Oh, hang on. Yeah, we'll get rid of the second number. We'll just run it with the dodgy number. Can I emphasise more the fact that you cannot open the doors on an E200 MMC like that when you're moving in real life. You cannot do that. That is not an option that they provide you with. Just to make that very crystal clear. So we'll get our screenshot to start off with.
Good evening, mate.
And the vehicle that we are driving is YX24 EFPZ. That in real life is Stagecoach Manchester's brand new 37631. Now, on the day I'm filming this bus has entered service. It is its first day out in service, with Stagecoach Manchester being the main winner of the Tranche 2 contracts. So Stagecoach Manchester have taken over Queen's Road from Go North West. They have... Oh, it's quite loud on the bus. They have retained Middleton Depot that this time, roughly... Oh, where's the exit? The exit's this way, there we go. Roughly this time 11 years ago, they took over. So they have retained Middleton Depot, and they've also gained Oldham Depot from First Bus. So they've got 3 main depots overall, and a smaller tranche to winners were Go North West, who have retained their depot in Haywood. That's the place, Haywood. They ran all the strike buses out of there back in the day, a few years ago when they had the bus strikes on. They've retained Haywood predominantly for school bus operations, but also to continue operating Tranche 1 services 163, 472 and 474 from that depot. The 163 is Bury, Middleton, Manchester. The 472 and 74 are Bury to Ramsbottom. So the predominant local services in Bury as well have also been encompassed as part of the Stagecoach operational takeover. There's a few bits yet to clarify that will be clarified Monday morning, and that's tomorrow morning, and we'll sort of see in some areas who's got what, and there's the odd route at present that is unaccounted for, but predominantly Go North West are operating the school services, school routes, and the 472, 474 and 163 services. And First Bus are operating in Rochdale. Now, First originally did operate in Rochdale. They were operating in Rochdale back in the day. It was part of the area that they took over from GM Buses North back in the day, the late 90s. But Rochdale was one of the first depots that first was closed, moving most of their operations in the area to Bury, that then closed, and Oldham, that ended up staying open. Oldham was the last big depot for First Greater Manchester to run, having run it since 1996. Since then, they've had all sorts of different depots. The first one to close was Acton, the last one to close was Oldham, but in between then they've had absolutely all sorts, including Wigan, a brand new Wigan depot that they had for a year before sold on to Stagecoach. They had the Rusholme depot in Fingerlands that they bought from EYMS Group as part of the Fingerlands operation that they then closed a year or two afterwards. And then they've had depots like Bury, Tameside, that ended up closing on their own accord. Operations were moved to either Oldham or Bolton, and then the biggest one in more recent times was the sale of Bolton Depot to Diamond Bus. So they've moved back into Rochdale. Now Rochdale will be a shadow of the operation that first was used to operate in Greater Manchester. It is a small Tranche 2 win. That basically means they're running all the local services, pretty much all the local services they used to run in Rochdale back in the day. They've regained quite a lot of them, quite a lot of the old numbers. They're back on the Stansfield circulars, for example, that they gave up not so long ago. And they're also back on the 468s. Now, the 468s, 467s, they ran many, many years ago. But then operators changed on the Rochdale to Bury section. But they still ran Jericho to Tottington. Now, the Tottington to Bury section that was Transdev 469, that's now Stagecoach. But the 467 and 468 between Bury and Rochdale are now First Bus. That I think is really, really cool because they have regained the 468 service number that, for me personally, had quite a lot of memories of the early days of me trekking out and about, sampling all the Citaros. So it's really, really nice to see them back on the 468 service. There'll also be a little bit of an upgrade from an enthusiast perspective on the 468 and 467 corridor, as previously. Oh, we're going this way. As previously, that those services were run by Streetlights, they're now going to be run by V7R and the Eclipses predominantly. So that I think is pretty cool. So I'm filming this on the day it happened on the Sunday, on the day that this video is released. I do apologise that the OMSI 2 video is later than planned. My day hasn't gone as planned in any shape or form. I mean, this was supposed to be filmed the day before, but a bit of illness has meant that it's only got filmed now. So I'm still not 100%, but I've ended up having a sick day, as you do, and having an early night to rest prior to heading over to Oldham in the morning. So yes, if you are watching the And More Central channel, if you haven't already, do be sure to subscribe to it so you can follow the updates, and you can check out my Tranche 1 videos that I did. Tranche 2 I'm going to be focusing on in a lot more detail. Tranche 2 is going to get quite a lot of focus over the next week or two. There's also potentially going to be a little bit on Bolton and Wigan, although that might be a couple of weeks' time, as they are owed a 6-month review on the channel, 6 months since they started operating as part of the B Network. I think doing the video 6 months on is quite important. It gives us an idea of what the operation is like on a day-to-day basis now, as everybody goes out, like myself, films on the first day, and as you'll have seen on the first main weekday operation that I did over there. As you'll probably see in my videos from tomorrow onwards, not all the vehicles are painted, some of the vehicles are on loan, there might be some vehicles that haven't ended up with B Network stickers on, there might be oddball allocations and bits like that. So it's quite important to document not just that, but document 6 months on as well, so you can see what the improvements were that were made. For example, Bolton and Wigan now have 73 and 24 plate E200 MMCs. They were the things that were missing when they started B Network over there. Little bits like that. Now I'm particularly excited for the Queen's Road allocations. Queen's Road and Middleton's, in fact. I'm excited for both allocations. So there is going to be, basically there's going to be a few buses in videos. It gives you an idea as to kind of buses you can see there at the moment if you are planning to visit over the next week or two, or you live quite far away, you've been following and researching the B network like I have, but unfortunately haven't had the ability to trek over there. We'll give you an idea of all the vehicles that are out there. Sometimes bustimes.org isn't always accurate, and it's quite nice to sort of have a visual of the vehicles that are being operated. So that's what we'll be achieving in a couple of the towns across the north part of Manchester. There'll also be a main video of me checking about on the network, sort of doing a generalised review of seeing what it's all like, seeing what it's all about and how it's all working on the day, and that will focus both on the main operator that is Stagecoach, but also the smaller Tranche 2 winner that is First Bus. So you will get a bit of an idea from both of the operators as to how they're functioning. We'll check on buses from a few different depots as well, so we can get a bit of a scope as to the different types of vehicles. And then after that, on a future visit that is also planned later in the week, I will be doing specific vehicle focuses. So there's some new vehicle types that have entered traffic, and some vehicles that have been cascaded that have of significant interest. I will be doing some focus videos on them. So do look out for all of those videos. Quite an exciting week or two ahead we've got with the B network excitement that is filling the bus industry. I have had a couple of you mention the idea of having a little bit of a discussion about the opinions of West Yorkshire and potentially even South Yorkshire buses getting franchised in the future. Now, I'm holding those opinions until we've done sort of the stuff on Tranche 2B network. However, I do hope at some point very, very soon to have a sit down with some of my YouTube bus colleagues and friends, and we can have a little bit of a sit down, and then we'll film a video, basically just a video of us having a natter in a sort of formal discussion prospect about what we think of franchising generally and what we think of the idea of franchising in West Yorkshire. So there might be the potential appearance of people who run operators as well, and hopefully we can get quite a generalised scope of that. There are quite a lot of different people from different perspectives. I mean, I have my own personal research on it and my personal opinions based on my research. However, it'd be good to also hear from operators who are in West Yorkshire and other people who sort of do similar to what I do and similar involvement in the industry. And hear their opinions. As everybody does have a slightly different opinion to franchising, there's not one dead set opinion. It is just like it is in the political world. It is a debate in the bus industry. Some people absolutely love the idea, some people detest the idea, and some people, like myself, as we've discussed in previous videos, do understand a compromise and do understand that the idea of a compromise system would be the best. But again, that is very much my opinion, and everybody has done their own research differently. So I think for fair discussion on the idea of bus franchising generally and West Yorkshire bus franchising, we do need to have a sit down with a couple of other people and have a natter. So there will be quite a lot, as I say, quite a lot that I'm doing on the B network coming up over the next few weeks. I've got quite a lot of trips planned over there, quite a lot of sort of route assessments and bits like that. And we might try and sample the majority of the networks run by the operators, just to sort of see them in a similar way to how you do in London, see the variation between the routes, between the operators, and see how good it is, basically, because it's one thing going there, as I say, on the first day of the operation, but it's another thing going over a couple of weeks after, 6 months after, a year after it sort of kicks off and goes live, just to see how it is day to day and to sort of get a proper in-depth analysis of how it is all working. That is once all the excitement and hype has died down. So one thing I was quite surprised about, but excited about, I must say, is the delivery of the B8 RLE Evoras that are in operation with Stagecoach based out of Queen's Road. Now, that was an incredibly random acquisition. I wasn't entirely expecting it. I was just under the impression that Stagecoach were just going to run a load of ADL E200 MMCs and E400 MMCs and that kind of thing. Now, I don't know if it was always planned for them to run B80 Auras. I don't know if that was planned. However, there has been some ADL strikes that have meant that quite a lot of vehicles haven't been delivered in time. That's why they've got the ex-Oxford Bus Company B5LHs on loan, so they've got them on loan at the moment. They've got a few vehicles from loan in Scotland to allow some of the existing, and from down south as well, to allow the existing Stagecoach Manchester MMC stock to go over to the B network, some of it temporarily, some of it permanently. So they have done that. However, the MCV of Auras seem incredibly random, and I certainly wasn't anticipating them. Now what? Oh, how's what? Eh? Why is that opened the wrong way? Eh? So then, without, see if we can. Atom confusion. I've never seen that before. Anyway, let's plod on. Yes, you do. Let's just keep going and pretend we haven't seen anything, and let me just double check that's all still working. Excellent. Oh, I don't know. That's confused me. But yeah, I do need to do a lot more on the B network. I really want to check up to Wigan. Believe it or not, I've only been up to Wigan for their buses once. I just haven't been up since. I popped through once. We're talking scary, but we're talking about 6 or 7 years ago. That really scares me, in fact. That very much scares me. And the last time I was up there was on a Rotala group, Dennis Trident. Went on a Rotala group, Dennis Trident, from Bolton to Wigan. So I did that from Bolton to Wigan. And then I did a Dennis Trident 2, Stagecoach E400, from Wigan to Leigh. And then from Leigh, what did I do from Leigh? Oh, we've slightly overcooked that. Oops. Yes, I did ever so slightly overcook.
Good evening, mate.
What did I do from Leigh? I'm trying to think. I honestly cannot remember. It was one of my vlog videos, I believe, as well. So you can go and check it out on the More Central channel. One of my very early ones. I'm trying to think what I went on after Leigh, because I remember getting a photograph of the bus at Leigh. I'm sure I did. Got a photo of the bus at Leigh, because I had my camera at that point. I'm trying to think. Got a photo of the bus at Leigh, and then I didn't do Vantage. I remember specifically not doing Vantage. Oh yes, that was it. I remember, because I was going to do Vantage, and then one of the 695 showed up. The Gosport, Hampshire and Dorset Eclipse branded Eclipse 2s. With it, they'd just been transferred there at that time. They were all still in dark blue and dark blue livery with the gold branding on, and the letters, Eclipse lettering was removed. It was still inside. I remember getting a photograph of it. It was still inside the vehicle. And one of them showed up on the 582, and I thought, oh, I better do that. So I ended up shooting back up to Bolton and then back across again. Yes, I do remember that very well, because I remember, I think it was the same day, or it was like the day after, the buyout was, they mentioned something, or it was either rumours or the official announcement was made that Diamond Bus were going to be buying first in Bolton, or it was around the same time. There was definitely rumours circulating around that time that they were selling it.
Hello there.
But yes, I remember that. I remember that really well with the 582 Eclipse, because it was my first time doing the 582. I believe I've only done the 582 in its full entire length twice. That was the first time. The second time I did an ex-First Greater Manchester B7 Euro 3 B7 D7C. The previous time I did a D7C. Oh, is there somebody else now wanting to jump off? There you go. I rang the bell at quite last minute. But there was that had been refurbished inside for Preston, and then Diamond Bus was short just before franchising, so they loaned 2 of them back across. I remember photographing them in the depot just after when on the Omnibus Society tour that we did, and I went on one on the 582. That was quite good, wasn't it? I remember getting stuck on all the traffic though, but apart from that, it was good.
What?
Ah, we're nearly Ingleborough. There we go, Ingleborough. Well, the one thing that's been quite interesting today, oh, it's a bit slower than anticipated. Although my bus is also slower than I anticipated. One thing that was quite interesting today was it's the first day of the 184 being run by Stagecoach Manchester, and the first time since 2006 that, or 2007, was it 8? Was it 8? It might have been 8. I said 6, but I think it might be 2008. Somebody will let me know in the comments. But it was either 2007 or 8. It's the first time since then that Stagecoach have operated into Huddersfield. So it was quite an exciting day today. Now, the majority of the operation on an every 2-hour timetable was E200 MMCs, SK20 plates, not surprising in the slightest. I still find it very strange that literally, we are talking yesterday, they were operating the 192 as they'd been operating for the past 4 years. And now today they did the 184 between Oldham and Huddersfield. That's very odd to me. Take a bit of getting used to, I think. But one thing that was quite strange is I believe the last trip to Huddersfield today was operated by an electric BYD. Very unexpected. We were under the impression that the E400 EVs, the BYDs, were going to be for specific services. So we're going to be for the 18s, 409s, and I believe potentially the 84s as well. However, one of them just rocked up and did the last Huddersfield of the day. I don't know if that's going to be quite unusual. I could imagine that today will be the only time that that'll happen. I could entirely imagine that. So if you did see it, then good on you. However, if it does happen again, then it'll be a pretty spectacular thing. Now, why is that? Why are they? I was about to say, why are they just coming up in squares? Because all I want is a nice screenshot. So where are we? So where Wavesworth Towns, not Ingleborough. Ingleborough Town Centre, 3132. How are we doing for time? There we go. Well, I do think it's really going to take a lot of getting used to. Is the Oldham Tranche 2. I mean, in Bolton, for example, we're quite used to a change in operators for Bolton. I mean, we had first, and then it was Diamond, now it's gone North West. So we're quite used to that. That wasn't entirely random. However, what is a lot more random is just first in Oldham. It's just always been first in Oldham, now becoming Stagecoach. Now, as I say, that is the thing that will take a lot getting used to. It's going to take a lot getting used to seeing B-network buses in Huddersfield. I am looking forward to spending my Friday afternoons outside the bus station, photographing them coming in and leaving, because that is going to happen. It will have to be done. And then looking out for the oddball allocations. I mean, back in the day, the oddball allocations were the likes of Citaros and old D7C Eclipse Urban showing up on the 184 in more recent times, B7 Geminis, and possibly even, depending on your opinion of them, even street lights. I'd have gone to the curb, but she was adamant to walk towards the bus. So I mean, I'm trying to think of the other rando. I think the shorter street lights, the B7 Geminis, would have probably in more recent times be the most oddball interesting for the enthusiasts. Although Huddersfield being Huddersfield, chucked absolutely anything on the route. I mean, the last night of First West Yorkshire running into Oldham was 69368 that was followed by 69367 out. So 69368, I keep forgetting when my handbrake's on or off. 69368 did the 184 to Oldham. 67 followed it down Manchester Road, doing the 185 to Marsden. So that was quite a random allocation. And then the last one of the day from Huddersfield to Oldham was 32697. The one going the other way was a street light. It's not as exciting, but the last one into Oldham was 32697, a B7 Gemini, that I thought was a nice and appropriate way to end the era. With this morning, it was SK20 MMCs, and then the last one of the day today was a brand new inter-service 24 plate BYD electric. So quite a stark contrast in 24 hours. It doesn't get much more varied than that. That's why I thought it was quite cool that it was a B7 Gemini. I thought it was very appropriate. But it will take a lot of getting used to seeing B-network buses in Huddersfield. That is going to take a lot of getting used to. I'm just hoping we do get some oddball allocations. I mean, the full allocation of buses to Oldham will properly come out tomorrow, so we'll probably have a good idea of what they'll be running tomorrow regarding single deckers and the deckers and bits like that. It's quite apparent that the Transbus E200s that they have gained from First Greater Manchester, these 6.7s that they've got that are now their 2.5s, oh, turning right, yes, that are now their 2.5s, 2.75s, that I entirely understand why they gave them to Stagecoach, because let's face it, ADL E300s are not that standard with First Bus. They're not a staple vehicle type, so it makes sense for an operator of predominantly ADL products to have them instead of giving them like B9 Geminis, like Go North West have. So Stagecoach's fleet is interesting at Queen's Road, I can tell you that much. I mean, they've got the ex-Oxford hybrids, they've now got the ex-First Greater Manchester E300s, they've got the Omnicity Deckers, the Scania Omnicity Deckers, and they've got all the ex-Go North West B9s. So it's quite a strange variation of fleet there, not to say the B8 Arley MCV Avoras, the brand new 24 plate Optare Solo SRs, and the 24 plate E200 MMCs. So it is one heck, and the 24 plate E400 MMCs. Quite a variation of vehicles, and I believe they do also have some electric PYD deckers as well. So the Queen's Road fleet has sort of unstandardised and become incredibly random. Middleton has very much stayed the same with ADLs. They've got the interesting ex-North-East hybrids that I am looking forward to filming and going on. The NK11s. They were up for withdrawal and scrap, but Stagecoach needed more buses, so here we are. They're operating out of Middleton Depot like they were just before Tranche 2, as they entered service early for drivers to get used to them and to make the transition smooth from Middleton. Middleton probably had the smoothest transition because it was Stagecoach to, well, Stagecoach, so nothing particularly changed. I mean, they had all of their B network buses stickered up before. No, they had all of their B network buses stickered up before the takeover, and they had all of the ones that were painted yellow done before the takeover. So I can't imagine that much has particularly changed at Middleton. Generally, however, the E400 hybrids are of interest. So I do want to go in those hybrids. It would have been quite nice for the hybrids to go to Oldham and the hybrids to do the 184, for example, over to Huddersfield. I mean, never say never like, but I do imagine that that is going to be highly unlikely. Oh, I think we're here at Wavesworth. This is Wavesworth bus station, I believe. I believe we're here. This is good.
Jesus,
oh, that I did slightly overclock that, I will admit. We're only a couple of minutes early, we haven't done too bad. The reason I have my blinds like this is because of the HOF file I'm using and because I still haven't got around to changing the HOF file properly. So that's why I'm running around. Basically, these are both on the destination set rather than a number, but because of how they split it up, it comes up with the number at the top. So I just run them like this because it's easier. Well, let's park up over here because this. Oh no, it's an alight stop. Oh, I better actually go round and go to the layover then, because I can't stop and have my waiting time on an alighting only stop because I'll annoy people. So let's just leave this here, and with that absolutely perfect sunset in the back, I think we can safely end off this video. So I do hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you have found it interesting. And as I say, a bit of a discussion about the B network. I thought it had to be done. We had to drive the B network bus. Even though I did say we are doing some Hong Kong videos, which are coming up, so do look out for them. I thought we'd focus on this for now. So I do hope you've enjoyed this video, and as I say, do check out the More Central channel, and make sure you have subscribed for videos before Tranche 2, as we looked at the operators before Tranche 2 went live, and videos that will be coming up over the next few days and the next weeks related around the Tranche 2 as it goes live, as we focus ourselves on the first few days of operation, what the area's buses now look like with buses in towns compilations, as well as looking at some of the new vehicle types and sort of specs that have entered traffic. Well, with all of that in mind, thanks for watching this video. If you've liked it, do be sure to click that like button so that more people can find it and enjoy like you have. And if you haven't already, do be sure to subscribe to the Bus Videos YouTube channel for more content like this from the OMSI 2 simulation section world, with videos twice a week, as well as an archive of over 6,000 backseated engine-focused public transport videos from the UK and beyond. With buses, trams, trains and more, there's something on there for everyone, with an additional 21 of those videos added every week to the channel. Once again, I'd like to thank you all for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed this one, and I will see you all in the next video, mate. Goodbye for now. Bye.